Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. This is Season 3 of the Zwift Racing League. We have had a boost after last month, and we are now in the CCAT. So a little bit harder this time. We are still racing with ZwiftScotland, and we are in the C4 team, although we're racing in the C3 league. A few faces that we'll remember from previous videos. Ben Sly, Brian Kerr, all raced with these guys before, and looking forward to a good season. So our first race is here at the Beach Island Loop. It looks quite flat, but it is deceptive. There are a couple of points in here where there are dirt, which is going to have a huge effect on this race. The sprint comes right after one of the big dirt sections, and they would have a massive effect, especially with the power-ups. 3 power-ups in play here. The van, which increases the drafting effectiveness. The aero, which reduces your drag coefficient, good for sprints. And the steamroller, which makes any non-tarmac surface feel like tarmac with road tyres. So that is a massive, massive difference for the dirt sections of this race. This was my first Cat C race, and it was kind of a baptism of fire, the speeds involved here and the power. And you see now, as we've got about 10 seconds to go, we're about to see what the Cat C is all about. So 3 seconds to go, the power starts to get put down, around 600 watts. And off we go, flying out of the gate. I can see 9.9 watts there, 8.3 watts a kilo. Just heavy, heavy, heavy start. I mean, setting at 5 watts a kilo, between 4.5 and 5 watts a kilo, just to try and hold on to the front of the pack. Very, very hard going. And it's really just cling on for dear life. First power up we get, aero helmet, absolutely no use. It's completely useless to me. So first in, we're going into this little rise, 3% section. And at the speeds we're going, this is going to be the real selection point for the race. The lead group will be decided here, and we're going to do everything we can to stay towards the front. My goal for this race really was just to see where I rank in the Cat C field, try and hang on with the front for as long as possible, and hope for a good finish. So you can see the blue dots on the map at the top right, still strung out into a big long line. Still hammer on about 4 watts a kilo. Back in the 24th place in the draft, 4 watts a kilo. Crazy. There's somebody misusing a steamroller. You'll regret that, because they are exactly what you need for this course. You don't want to be giving them away, throwing them away on tarmac sections. And you can see from the map at the top, the split's starting to be made now. There's around maybe 35 riders who are making this split together. I mean, I'd say it's starting to settle down, but it's still around 270 watts, around 2.7, 2.8 watts a kilo. But the selection is definitely starting to be made. The gaps in the group are starting to open up, and this is going to be the lead group of about 30 going forward. So with that in mind, that we have our our initial group, we are going to take a skip forward, and we'll see you at the first of the dirt sections and see how this blows this race apart. Okay, so coming up in the first dirt section here, it happens just at these the start of the sort of Italian villas. There's a little bit of flat on the dirt first, and then up a climb between 3 and 4%. So the group, 45 riders strong. Into the dirt section we go. And as soon as this road starts to pick up to around 3%, you'll see a raft of steamrollers go, and you will see the difference. So here's the climb. And here come the steamrollers. And watch the front of this group, because the people with steamrollers just disappear. There they go. So we're putting out 4 watts a kilo, and it's like we're going backwards. The steamrollers, just what a difference they made to this race. They're maybe a little overpowered and could probably do with being tweaked a touch, but yeah, what a difference they're making. There we are, 4.65 watts a kilo, and the race is just all over the road. Strung out into a big line, couple off the front. And then as soon as you take this left-hander, that is you into the sprint. Then it's a long one, about 400 metres, give or take. Huge long sprint right after that. Horrible dirt climb. Real difficult to get yourself set for. And at the moment, I'm just trying to get back and hope this group comes back together. Otherwise, we're through. So, I've used my aero power up for what little use that is at the moment. There's somebody putting out 9 watts a kilo. Absolute crazy power. And as we come up to the banner, you can see from the mini map in the top right, there's just, this lead group is just blown apart. So we're going to push on. Everything comes back together this lap, and we'll head forward once again. And this brings us to the end of the first lap. The lead group is now down to about 21, 22 riders. And as we pray for a steamroller for the second lap, the gods have gifted us another aero helmet. Great. Okay, so let's see what use that aero helmet was then. Here we are as we approach the dirt section again. This time I realised that if I'm going to try and hang on, I need to be near the front at the start. Give myself some sliding space through the group. And here come the steamrollers. You can see from the coloured bar at the bottom, that's the power graph. It shows that it's been a relatively settled lap. Once the selection was made and the group came back together, it was relatively settled. But here we are in the second lap, and again the steamrollers proving decisive on this dirt hill, and no amount of 4 watts a kilo are keeping up with them. In fairness, there's some people ahead of us, 4.7, 5.8 watts a kilo, no steamrollers. I think regardless of the steamroller power up, this was going to be where it was dropped. But it would have made life a little easier if I'd had one. Alas, not to be. It was aero helmets. The irony, of course, is even over the line the next time, I didn't get a steamroller. I didn't get a single steamroller this entire race. So as we approach the sprint again, obviously I have no sprint left. I'm blown up after trying to stick with this group, but we go through the sprint, and this time, however, the group does not come back together. It would stay apart, and this would be where we lost contact. So if anyone had almost exactly the halfway point that I could stay with the lead group, well done. That was how long it lasted. So I end up sitting with a couple of riders and forming into a group of 3. And you can see the pack behind us is about 48 seconds. So slow pedal, and just as we come up towards the finish line, we are caught by the group behind, which is about 20 or so riders, and it contains almost every rider from the Irish team, RWB SC2. You just see a ream of green jerseys as they come past. I think there's about 5 in this group altogether. They'd done a fantastic job of sitting together. Definitely the biggest group I'd seen on the road. I think there was some in the lead group. There was about 4 or 5 from Navy Cycling, but this was impressive to see all the green shirts together. And so this would be the group that would form for the last lap, a group of about between 10 and 15. And absolutely nothing would happen towards the end of that, so we're going to skip right forward, and we're now 900 metres to go. You can see from the paragraph very little has happened. Group basically stayed fairly well together. We put in a slight dig on this little rise here, but the legs aren't there. The first race in CCAT has done the damage. Then here come a couple of the RWBSC2 guys. A beautiful lead out form in there. I can't catch them. I'm just trying to cling on and take a top 25 maybe. 300 metres to go as we hit the first bridge and the second out the saddle. We're trying to cling on as much draft as we can. Really impressive. People throwing out 8.3 watts a kilo after 9.3 watts a kilo after that race, but yeah, fair play. So it finishes. We end up 22nd place, and overall pretty proud of that. Happy enough to have finished. So a quick look at the tables. You can see the overall results. And yeah, what a baptism of fire that was. Well, thank you for joining me. We'll be back next week for the New York KOM after party, and I'll see you then. Ta-da.